Hey there, this is Andrew with ADS, here to bring you the very best in marketing and branding tips, as well as business tips for those of you who are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and personal branders. Welcome, and thanks so much for being here. I'm again Andrew with ADS. And so this is the third video of a series all about Twitter chats, third and final. And so in the first video, we covered what is a Twitter chat, why you should do it, the benefits of it, and how do you find them. That was video 1. The last video we did last week, video 2, was about how to do it. How do you join a Twitter chat? How do you introduce yourself in the chat? You know, there's some etiquette involved with all this, so you don't look stupid, like you don't know what you're doing, and you don't come off off-putting. Watch that video 2 about how to do Twitter chats. This video is for the pros. So if you've been around for a minute, you've been in the Twitter chat circles, you've seen how other people have done it, and you're like, dang, Twitter chats are awesome. I want to do a Twitter chat myself. All right, so here are the things you need to know if you want to start a Twitter chat for yourself. Let's go. All right, there's 8 steps to this that you want to know about. First of all is your hashtag. And this is all about the hashtags, and it's very important. It might be more important than you think. It is not just as simple as just creating any old hashtag for use. It really needs to be short enough, memorable enough, and unique enough. And all those 3 things are equally important. So I'm going to tell you why. Short. Pop quiz. How many characters can you have in a tweet at any given time at this moment? It used to be 140. It's not 140 anymore, if that's what you were thinking. It is now 280 characters, right? Let me double check myself. Oh, 240 characters, even less. 240 characters now. So it's a lot of space than we used to have, but it also is still very succinct. So whatever Twitter hashtag you use for your Twitter chat, it needs to be short enough so it's not taking up too much of those 240 characters that you get in a tweet. Okay, because the more it takes up, the less people have room for their answer when they're answering your questions in a Twitter chat. Okay, so it needs to be short as possible, and yet it also needs to be memorable. So you don't want people thinking, oh my gosh, I really like that chat. Oh man, what's the name of it? I can't think of it. They may love the chat, but if they can't remember it, that's horrible. So it needs to be something that's quite memorable. And finally, it needs to be unique. And the reason why it needs to be unique is because, say you pick something that's very common. Say you do hashtag marketing or hashtag education or biz education or whatever. First of all, you should probably include the word chat in your Twitter chat handle, because most chats do, but whatever you do, what you don't want is something that's so generic and so overly used that people can't even find your chat when they want to. So say, for example, I used the hashtag marketing for my own Twitter chat, hashtag marketing. Oh my gosh, we'd be looking at thousands of tweets in an hour. And no one would see where the Twitter chat is. You know, even if it was hashtag marketing chat, I'm pretty certain somebody already has a hashtag marketing chat. So you need to do a little bit of research, see what's already out there for the hashtag that you want, and make sure that it is short, memorable, and unique. Very important. Very, very important. So that's number 1 about your hashtag. Number 2 is your weekly time. So you want to think about what day of the week and what time of the week. Am I going to be in business hours or am I going to be in the evening hours? You know, that makes a big difference. And the number 1 consideration for that is your audience. Who do you want participating in your chat? Are they going to be likely to do it during business hours or not? So you need to think about that. I've been to some chats that are 2 o'clock on a Monday. There's generally a bunch of marketers in there, and so they're at work and they can justify their chat time as a part of work or a part of brand building or whatever. Versus if you're an entrepreneur and you're busy during the day working, or you're a career professional and this is a hobby interest or something like drones or whatever, that may be something you want to do at night off of business hours, not during business time. It could be during the lunch hour. So it could be have your lunch, maybe you're taking it at lunch to yourself, but come do your Twitter chat with us during your lunchtime. So you want to think about a weekly time. So it's like Mondays at 2 or Wednesdays at 7 p.m. The other consideration is your audience potentially global? Would you want global participants? Well, guess what? If you do your chat at 7 p.m., guess what time it is in the UK? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, midnight. It's midnight in the UK. They're like, oh my God, I can't be up till 1 a.m. talking to you guys about social media. Unless you're super night out, and some people are, but you want to be kind to the people that you want involved. So think about the kinds of countries, which time zones, so you can kind of pick a time that is amenable to the countries that you want involved with you. I've seen people involved with India. They may be someone in China. Well, those are completely different time zones than from the US. So really consider the time of day and the day of the week. It could be a weekend too. So think about that. Number 3 is to organize it, brand it. So you've already chosen the hashtag. That's a big part of the branding, but you also want to get the imagery together for it. So you'll have imagery for like your question, your questions that you post, Q1, Q2, Q3. I've seen lots of people do images of that. Some people do chats with that, no images at all, but it's so helpful when you have an image. It's much easier to spot in the feed when you can scroll to an image as opposed to like looking for Q1, Q2. It can be hard on the eyes trying to see that, especially the more voluminous your chat is, the more higher of a volume of people you have chatting, it can get even harder. So you typically will want imagery for your questions. You also want an image for promotions for your first chat and other chats, to go out over email, to go out on other social media platforms. You may even want to change out your Twitter cover photo for whoever, whatever account you've got that's hosting the chat. So those are art considerations to take into account. And let's see what else. Oh yes, your rules. So typically people will have a rules, guidelines of how to join in the chat. Just try to cover people who've never done a chat before, Twitter chat. So they'll have a rules image, and they'll spell out the rules on the image, and it'll be stuff like say hello, use A1, A2, A3 to answer the questions, Q1, Q2, Q3. Use the hashtag on every tweet so that we can see your tweets in the chat. Very important. So it'll spell all that out for people. And sometimes they may even say, do not spam us, like to not be self-promotional and just like throwing a bunch of crap about your company or whatever. In every question, in every answer, because that would be annoying. Sometimes it says that in the rules. So whatever your rules are, have a look at the, comparable chats out there, competition as I may call it, and create your imagery that you're going to need for every chat. And then finally, also part of that promotional stuff is you're going to want to let your audiences know that this is happening. So use what you've got. You got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, you've got your email list, you've got your blog, your website. Use those things, tell people in person, call people up, I've got a Twitter chat, please come to my Twitter chat. If it becomes a thing, if it becomes a part of your strategy, you're gonna definitely wanna include it in your promotions, because you don't have a chat without people there. You just don't. It's like setting up a panel and nobody shows up to see the panel. Or the panel themselves don't show up, like you're just there by yourself and nobody came. Like that's bad. So you need people there, you gotta promote it. When you're getting ready for your first chat, you gotta prep your questions. So usually you're gonna pull together a set of like somewhere between 6 and 10 questions. Maybe you get away with 12, but 6 to 10 is kind of good. You want to remember you're doing this in an hour time frame, and you want to give time for people to respond, to catch up. People are going to show up late. They're going to try to catch up and answer all the questions. That's why it's a good idea to take an hour. Basically, every Twitter chat I've seen has been an hour long. So people can potentially be late, jump in, sift through the questions, answer what they can. Generally, you're going to schedule out your questions throughout that hour rather evenly. So give people like 5 to 6, maybe even 10 minutes at a time, depending on how many questions you have, to adequately answer those questions. Kind of space them out evenly throughout that hour. Make sense? Okay. Number 4, you want to interact. So you've already scheduled out your questions, nothing to worry about there, but you want to make sure that you're interacting, engaging with people. So leave time to do that. You know, you want to be available to like all the answers that come through, unless you don't like it for some reason, to retweet the best answers, you know, the ones you really like. Your job as moderator is to retweet those, you know, and that gives exposure to the person who had the great answer that you liked. But it also keeps people engaged, and it keeps people wanting to come back because they're like, oh man, they share my stuff, I love it. You know, so that's a part of it. Engagement is a big key part of it. So you need to be available to get ready and engage. So number 5, you're going to want to prep yourself. This is going to be an hour, whether you chose to do this during the business day or in the evening, it's an hour. So you need uninterrupted time, especially if you're at home, if you have kids, if you have whatever situation you got going on, you need dedicated time to prepare for that. Or if you're in the office and it's during the business day, then you also want to make sure you have, you've already done your coffee break, you've got your coffee locked and ready, loaded, tea is what I would prefer, tea ready to go. And you already did your bathroom break, so you're not going to have to get up and waste time, miss a lot of engagement opportunities, miss reading people's answers, especially if you have a lot of people there. It can, I mean, this is going to go voraciously, quickly. So high velocity if you got lots of people. So take your bathroom break before. Number 6, this is going back to promotions a bit, but if you happen to have guests on, you're going to want to promote them ahead of time. So make sure you create your graphics with your guest featured on it, their picture, their topic, the date, the time, all of that, the hashtag. You want to promote that ahead of time on your other social media outlets. Again, whatever you got at your disposal, email, your website, blog, on Twitter itself, all that. And you want to tag people in it, the people who would likely come to it, your regulars, if you happen to have a regular following with your Twitter chat. And you ultimately want your guests to reshare it to their audiences, ideally on all of their platforms, so that they can get a nice number of people coming out to support you in your Twitter chat. So that's important. Promote your guests. All right, and number 8, the final thing is, in the post chat, you're going to want to do some kind of wrap up. And I think one of the easiest ways to do this is with Twitter moments. So use Twitter moments. If you've not done that before, it's not too hard to do, and just ask me below. I'd be happy to share that with you. I can do another video about it if you want, whatever. But you can easily collect the top tweets that you want that kind of succinctly summarize the chat for the day. You can save it in a moment, and you can share that with the people who were there, with the people who missed it. It's shareable through a link, a Twitter moment. So that's pretty cool. Otherwise, you can also do a blog about it that kind of summarizes key findings, or even lessons learned during the chat, key lessons. So all that is great and helpful as well. So either way, it's nice if you can afford the time to summarize your chat, have a little system that makes it easy for you, because this is weekly, so it should not be painstaking for you. If this really becomes a part of your strategy, you're going to want to make sure you do that, because that's extra content that helps you in the long run, especially with SEO. So do that right. All right, and that is it for today. That, my dears, is how you pull together a Twitter chat. We may even bring on some Twitter chat organizers that I already know. I mentioned Nathalie Gregg, I think in the first video. Sabrina Caldini online also has one. There's several people whose chats I'm involved with now. Maybe we'll bring them on sometime and chat with them about how they pull together their own Twitter chat tips they may have for you. I don't have one yet. I may do it myself, but I'm just telling you the elements I know you're going to have to pull together if you decide to do one. And also for me, if I ever decide to do one, I'll be following these steps myself. Otherwise, it's not rocket science, pretty simple, and I hope you do try it sometime. All right, so let me know if you plan to do that in the comments below, what your feedback is, what you think about Twitter chats in general. You've been through all 3 videos now. If you're seeing this one first, go back to the first two and you'll learn a whole lot about how to do Twitter chats and what this is really all about. Highly recommend that. And otherwise, thanks so much for being here. If you're listening to this on podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever, please subscribe there. Subscribe to the podcast because we want to have you back. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel. I would so appreciate that. When you do subscribe, okay, the like and subscribe buttons are down here, so make sure you look down there, okay? And then after you click subscribe, a little bell will show up. You want to click that because that means you'll get the notifications for these next videos. If you don't do that, then you won't likely ever see these videos again. So it's very critical. You must get the notifications or else it'll just get lost in the shuffle of everything else you're subscribed to. All right, my dears, that is it. Thanks so much for being here. It's been fun chatting with you about Twitter chats, and I hope to see you around in some of my favorite Twitter chats. I'm going to link to those in the notes below in the description so you can see the Twitter chats that I'm involved with. And who knows, we might just find each other in a Twitter chat sometime. Cheers, have a good one.